Hey everyone, my name's Randy,
And I'm Ray.
and we're going to be reviewing super rares for the upcoming expansion Azurite Sea for Lorcana. So we'll move on. This card was revealed way early, right, as part of the D23 gift box or whatever that's called. We've got a 2-cost uninkable. This is Oswald. Stats are 2-1. Quest for 2. The effect. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an item card, you may play it for free, and it enters play exerted. Otherwise, you put it on the bottom of your deck. As the blue expert, what do you think?
I think this card is really good, especially in an item-heavy deck. I mean, most blue, like a blue steel, would have a lot of items, or any blue deck would have a lot of items. And this is just like another staple card that you would put in there, or at least one of the, that you put in the rotation. It's just really good. And has synergy with a lot of the new cards like the Queen and Scuttle and all this, where you just want to have a lot of items and you can take advantage. And then you can put heavy ink in there, heavy items, and you'll just be getting extreme value off this guy. So I think it's really good right off the bat.
Yeah, I like that it's such a low cost. I think to build a deck around Oswald, you can keep a lot of the elements of traditional blue, but you probably would... you can fit this in a traditional blue deck, but I think you can also make a more dedicated to Oswald deck where a lot of those elements are still there, but you go heavier on items. Right? You pair it with gray, you've got Fortispheres, you pair it with red, you've got, I forget what it's called, Vitalisphere or something, but a few different items, right, across both, and blue obviously has a ton of items. But the ideal scenario, right, that people probably imagine is like, oh, I can play them on turn 2, and then turn 3 I'll quest, and then, or I'll ink, and then I'll gain Lucky Dime on turn 3 or whatever it is, right? Like that's the ideal. But even if you were to get Popsicle, you draw a free card, right? I think if you go heavier item, you can do maybe the Aerial, right? Because you're more likely to have items in your opponent's. She's questing for 5, she's got Ward. Or something that you've played on occasion is the Sheriff, right? Yeah. So he's 9 cost. What does he quest for?
4.
Quest for 4. He's got support, and he's 5 attack.
I think it's 5/9, I think.
Yeah, so he's like really strong, right? And he costs 1 less for every item that you have. So 1, you're playing your Popsicles and, let's say, Fortispheres. Then Oswald is playing whatever else, Beast Mirror, Fishbone Quill, etc. Lucky Dime, you get all these items out there. You can play the Sheriff for cheap. He can get out a really good item early on. I think in that specific type deck, he's got a lot of potential. And even if he misses, 2 lore at turn 2 is not the worst.
Yeah. What do you give this guy?
I'm going to say for a more item-focused blue deck, I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah, I also gave him a 4. I really like him, and especially since I play that type of deck, I would definitely add him. I've been looking for more item-centric type of cards, and this guy's just perfect. But even in traditional, like a blue steel or any blue, like he's just pretty good. Like if you splash him in or you kind of add more items to work around him, like he's just a really solid card. And it says right here he's going for 37. So if you see someone, pay double. And
pay him 7.
Because in a month it's going to be triple.
Cool. So now we're going to talk about the next blue legendary. It's a 5-cost Baymax. It's inkable. Stats are 2/6. Quest for 2. The effect is when you play this character and whenever he quests, you may remove up to 2 damage from another chosen character of yours. Gain 1 lore for each 1 damage removed this way. What do you think?
Initial thoughts are, it's okay. It's not bad. Effect is pretty good-ish. Kind of cute. Nothing extraordinary. When it comes to healing, I always think of Rapunzel, and that's a big plus with the heal. And this one's not as good, but still pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think something that stands out is the health, right? 6 health means that he can have some survivability. So for example, he could survive along King Zeus and whatnot, which allows you to then use his effect again. Coming in on turn 5, you might have some characters that have the 2 damage on them. Maybe not, health might be lower, but that gaining lore isn't the worst. And then the ability to next turn quest and potentially remove an additional 2 health and gain 2 lore is exciting. I think if I were to be playing against this, someone played it, I'd hesitate to exert my guys because I wouldn't want him to trade into it and get damage on their characters. I'd probably just try to wait and find an answer for the Baymax. So I think there's for sure some use to him. He changes the gameplay a little bit. I think the initial effect of playing it and removing damage is good. But but I think it's a bit situational. I think when I imagine what this would replace in blue, you've got 5 cost Cogsworth, and you as the blue player, like what would you prefer value between those two?
I think between the two, I definitely just prefer Cogs. He has the automatic protection. You don't have to quest with him to get his effect going, and he has ward. So if I had to compare the two, I would definitely get Cogsworth. And this guy's still okay, but if I had to choose between the two, I'd definitely do Cogs.
Yeah, that's interesting because this guy can like provide additional survivability for your other characters, right, by removing 2 health. But Cogsworth has built-in resist +1, so it like has ongoing survivability, and then him being ward makes it difficult to get rid of that passive effect. So it seems like that would make more sense for the most part, unless you're playing a whatever hero robot deck, if there is one to be played, or again you're playing a more aggressive style where playing immediately gets you 2 lore. Next turn you can get potentially up to an additional 4 lore, 2 for questing, 2 for his effect. In that case, this might have some more potential there. But I think blue as it currently stands, this card's just okay.
So what do you rate it?
I think I rate this a 3. It's probably a 2 to a 3. I think I give it a 3 because it still can work in basically any deck, right? You don't need the requirement of selecting a robot to use it. You can target any character. It does change how your opponent plays. They need to get rid of it, or they might not quest or sing or do whatever else as they normally would. So there's some playability there, and it's not the worst, but I think that it probably won't see a ton of play.
I gave it a 2 for similar reasons. Just compared to Cogsworth, I think Cogs is superior. He's still playable. He still has a neat effect. I think he's going to see much play, and it's in a more specific deck. Like you have to build your deck to that type of deck. But he's just 2.
Cool. All right, we'll move on. We'll start off here. Go ahead, Ray.
All right, we got Gadget Hat Wrench. She's a 6 cost inkable 3/6. She quests for 3, and she's shift 4. She has the effect while you have 3 or more items in play, you may pay 1 less to play an inventor character. Initial thoughts?
I don't know too much about the inventor characters, so I don't know how many there are and what their effects are, which ones are good or not. So in terms of like paying less for inventor specifically, I'm not sure. But I like that she's shiftable, right? The 4 shift is obviously better than paying full cost 6. 3 lore is threatening, you need to get rid of her. And even though I don't know the inventor character, still paying 1 less or 1 fewer ink is a good effect, right? We see that what I mentioned earlier for Pride Lands and Simba as a prince. Paying 1 less just ends up being strong. I don't know if it's the strongest effect with a traditional blue just because they ink so high, right? So if I've got 12 ink, do I need to worry, I'm paying 1 less for an inventor? Maybe not. So in a traditional blue deck, I don't know that she's the strongest. But even early on, she can get some strong characters out, which is okay.
Yeah, I think she's okay. Stat-wise, she's okay. She's inkable, which is great. She quests for 3, which is really good.
Yeah.
And the effect is just okay. Like in a blue type of deck, you're most likely going to be wrapping up your ink anyway. And you're going to have a lot of items too. And again, like you were saying, I don't know many good inventors. The best one is Hiram, which is, blue. But you're going to be playing him way before her.
Most likely.
Yeah, so it's not going to be that, powerful of an effect. So I think overall she's just okay.
What would you rate?
I'd give her a 2 right now. She'll probably get better just because her effect is just going to always get better with more inventors. But as of right now, she's just okay. And she has good quests, which is a lot, but I don't think she can see too much play, but she will see play.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 initially, but I might give her a 1 star just because of the 3 attack. Again, vulnerable to Medusa. So it feels bad, man, when you play, your Robin, your Beast, or now your Gadget, and then Medusa comes out and takes her out immediately. Her effect of lowering the cost of another character you play again when you have so much ink, usually in Sapphire, I don't think is that game-breaking. So for that reason, I think that you've got better, higher cost characters that you'll likely want to play in Sapphire, so I'll give this a 1.
Yeah, I never think about this. There's a lot of good six that you can be playing over this. But I'll still stick to 2.
You said 2? You gotta stick with 2.
I stick. All right, next up we got...
What do we got next? Cool. So another blue card. Go ahead.
We got Tadashi Hamada. He's a 6-drop inkable 3/3. He has 3 quests, and then his effect is this character gets +1 attack and what is it? Willpower for each
attack and health.
1 attack and health for each item you have in play. Initial thoughts?
I don't love it for a few different reasons. So similar to earlier, right? 3 attack makes him vulnerable to the Medusas of the world. Beyond that, when you think of 6 cost, is the ward aerial 6 cost?
Yeah.
So she already quests for 3, and then if you've got more items than your opponent, she quests for an additional 2.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd rather get 5 lore. I mean, 3 lore isn't bad, but she's got wards, so she's safe in that regard. Tadashi has 3 health, and that's pretty easy to deal with, right? Again, the 3 attack makes him vulnerable to Medusas, so he's not the strongest body. But I guess to be fair, I'm missing the part that he gets bonus health per item, so he'll probably be a lot better statted. So you give your review. I need to think about it a bit more.
Like you mentioned, compared to the aerial, I was comparing him to Gaston, which is 6-drop. He has 3 quests, but he's 4/4 off the bat. You don't have that item, which is just superior. The only thing he's uninkable, but he has his effect, which lets you peak at top 3 and keep 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just a lot better than this. I mean, unless you have a specific crazy item deck, I don't think this is gonna be too good. Let's say on average you have 2 or 3. He's gonna be a 5/5, which is just okay for the stats. He quests pretty good, but I don't think he's anything special.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I was thinking through when you think of blue and you think of removal, what do you have? You've got Let It Go. You've got Hades. What other removal tends to be there for blue? I'm not sure if there's much, right? But those are the 2 immediate ones that come to mind. So this, in terms of stats, right? He goes up to 6/6, like you said, 7/7. He could serve as a way to remove characters because he's so strong. But even then, he's still vulnerable to removal to some extent. And it's kind of he quests for a lot, or he's a big body. And which of the 2 do you prefer? And there is flexibility, but there isn't a focus, right? Versus again the aerial. You're most likely going to quest for 5, and that's what her purpose is. You've got a lucky diamond and you get 10 lore. Is his purpose to clear the board, or is his purpose to gain 3 lore? I'm not sure, so I don't think it's the best effect. And when there's hard removal, Let It Go, then his stats don't matter. It doesn't have ward, so I don't think he's the best for the cost again. Once again, at 6 cost, I'd rather play something else.
Yeah, now that you say that, it's just he got worse in my head. I think I would give him a rating of 1 now. There's just better cards to do either or. If you want a quest, you can use aerial, and if you want a bigger body, there's tons of stuff. Or you can just go 1 more and go Hades and get that +1 on the way out and just have a bigger body.
Yeah. But you didn't think of if you have Gadget, instead of paying 6, you pay 5, so you can get...
Oh, he's an inventor. I give him 1.1.
I don't think I'll be that harsh. I think he has potential. I don't know if you'll see a ton of play. I want to see what the inventor decks look like, because he might have a place there, right? If it's maybe not the traditional Sapphire approach. So I'll say maybe this guy's a 3. I think he has potential in current just traditional blue. I think there are a lot of better options, but for an inventor deck, he might see some play. So I'll say he's a 3. He's okay.
We have Alice. She's 3, uninkable. Stats are 1/4. Quest for 2 with ward. Her effect is, whenever this character quests, another chosen character of yours gets +1 attack or +1 quest and gains ward until the end of your next turn.
Till the start of your next turn.
Till the start of your next turn.
Yeah, so in essence, she gives them +1 lore and ward until your following turn. So this is interesting. I think there's a lot of potential here. The uninkable is not ideal, right? But it's only 3. The 2 lore is okay, but I think it's really that ability to give ward and +1 lore. I think more so the ability to get bored. So when you think of certain characters, like let's say in blue, and I'm sure there are better combos out there, so in the comments let us know. But like thinking of, for example, Belle, the one that lets you do an extra ink, and when she's at 10 ink, she gets 5 additional lore. Like giving her ward when you're close to that ink count is pretty solid, right? Similar to the Alice Growing Girl, when she gets, I think, 10 attack or higher, she gets maybe 5 lore total. But when you have these characters that like allow you to pull off a solid combo, if you can give them the ward, I think that's really strong. There's a lot of talk. I know that we're not reviewing it, but there's the Basil, I think is how you say his name. That he's an uncommon and shifts for 4, and when you ink a card, you can pay an ink to discard a card from your opponent's hand. Like if you play her on 3, and let's say you have another Basil out, and you shift 4, or whenever you play him, if you give him ward, if there's not like full AoE removal, he's going to be discarding at least 1 card from your hand. So in that sense, I think that's the effect that works for her. Sure, you gain 2 lore, but it's really, I choose now to protect this character. And with her being ward, you can just keep her unexerted until you bring out that key character as part of your combo, and then you choose to keep him safe until the next turn. So I think there's a lot of potential there. I don't know what the combos are going to be, but I think that she affords a lot of potential combos that normally would be harder to pull off to be able to be pulled off.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to like this this Alice. The more that you talk about it, the stats are pretty good for what you pay. 3 for 1/4, quest for 2, which is good. She has ward, which is great, and then her effect is actually really good. I think just giving someone ward, like you can ignore the plus lore. That's just a bonus.
Yeah.
But that ward is really good because it's hard. It's kind of hard right now to give other characters ward, and there's just like I'm thinking of like big boys that you bring out, like say Tomato or something who quests for 5, and you give him ward. He's really tanky. He has 8 health,
something like that.
He's just really beefy, and he's weak to actions that can take him out. But if you give him ward and he's questing for 5, he's a huge threat, and you can just sacrifice her. Use it once and they'll take her out. But that's a really good effect, I think.
Yeah, she's for sure going to be a magnet, right, for damage. So when she's exerted, if they have a way to get rid of her, they likely will. But again, you're sacrificing her to give that effect to the character next, or whatever, the other character. The Tomato is to quest for 5 and dime for 5 for game, or whatever it is, right, that's going to enable your big combo. So I think she has a lot of potential.
Yeah, in blue, there's a few big boys, and they always just get taken out. But what this is actually really good. And I think the thing I haven't mentioned right here is when she quests, she gives effects. So it's not like you have to tap her just to give effects. She gets the 2 lore, and then on top of that, she gets effects. So that just makes her all the better.
So what do you rate it?
I give her a 4. She's not super game breaking or anything, but she's definitely going to see play, and I really like her. It's just a solid effect that can go in a lot of decks.
Yeah, I think it's a 4 as well. And I promise I'm not just repeating what you say. I have it in my mind. Next time I'm going to show what I think. But I think it's a 4, not because she'll see play in a ton of decks I don't expect, but I think the decks that she will see play in will have a huge impact. So I think some folks will be able to make a deck in which they incorporate Alice, Savvy Sailor, and then when they use her, it's like, oh crap, I'm in trouble, right? Next turn, I don't know what's going to happen, but something big is going to happen in 2 turns. So I don't think it's necessarily a turn 3 card. It might be later on. But again, I think that she's just going to enable a lot of really cool combos and effects that aren't easy to pull off now. And for that, I think that when she's out, she's going to cause some trouble. And when people figure out how to use her, she'll do well. So I think it's 4-star.
Okay. Comment down below if we're wrong or if we're right.
Yeah.
For how wrong we are or how right we are.
Awesome. Thanks, folks.
All right. Take care.
Bye.